Good evening and welcome to the We Are Rise Show. I'm your host, Brett C. Collins. How's everybody doing? Welcome back. Welcome in from this Thanksgiving Day weekend celebration. Hope yours and ours and mine and everybody was blessed and great. And you took your mind off for 24 hours, at least 48 hours from all the craziness that's happening. Let's welcome in my co-host, Marshall Smith. What's up, buddy? How was yours?
I'll tell you, Brett, this is probably the most memorable Thanksgiving I've ever had. And
Oh,
I
yeah?
have to give that to Trump.
Oh, yeah? I was going to
Yeah.
say, did you get laid?
Well, that's without saying, buddy. Come on.
Pardon my language. Pardon my
But
language. I'm just, but I'm
no,
pumped.
really. Trump
Yeah.
made it a memory. I woke up this morning and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to cover it. So,
Right. No, I understand. Was that? There you go. I don't know why it's not working. No, I know. Look, today's an interesting day. It's a solemn day. It's remembering Sarah Bergstrom and her
well,
death
that
and
too, yeah.
her untimely death, her unfortunate death, her young death. Should never happen. Should never happen. The question going forward is, as much as all the stuff, the caveats that we say, hearts and prayers and all these, things and stuff, realistically, what are we going to do going forward? How is this going to be settled and resolved? How is there going to be reprisals, paybacks? There's going to be a lot more that has to be on the table. We're seeing it. We're going to cover it. Welcome to pill.net. Hello on Rumble. And yes, we are on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe, share, leave us a comment or two. Tonight's a call-in show. I dropped the stream links. If you want to call in, I'll drop it again. Some people said to me last week they couldn't find it, so I'm going to drop it periodically. If you know how to do it, just send it back to yourself in an email and then open it up. It's really that simple. You can or copy and paste it if you can. Tonight's show, Alien Annihilation Agenda, instilling ball-crushing fear in illegal criminal scum. Or is it empty threats? Well, after today, Marshall, I have to tell you right now, with the breaking news and everything that is unfolding today, because we'll get to the other stuff I want to talk about, because realistically, the discussion about President Trump canceling all the Biden auto pen and how this is going to be reflective of everything coming forward. Let's welcome in pill.net. I want to say hello to Thea. Thank you for the 1,700 gold pills on my birthday. Yes, it is your birthday, Thea, and happy birthday. You're at dinner with your friends. Hope to see you later. Love you and all your family. Love you too. Hope you be safe. Do a shot for me. Would USA? What's up, buddy? How you doing? Dropping 117 gold pills. Let's effing go. Trump won. How you doing? How was your Thanksgiving, Patty B? Yes, I finally got your DM on X. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe because of the new codes they put in. But I saw what you were saying. Thank you so much. Who else is here? I saw somebody else that came in here. Not my name. What's up? How you been? Great to see you, everybody. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. What's up, Trusty Turnip? How's my Florida peeps doing? How was your Thanksgiving? Tonight is cold. It's in the 50s, so, I mean, it's not too cold, but, I mean, it's still good enough that it's going to be really cold overnight, and I'm enjoying every minute again. I know Marshall's freezing his ass off. Welcome in, Mark Ock. How you doing? Hello, everybody. Hope all a blessed Thanksgiving. You too. FL John 48. What's up? True Terran. Greetings and salutations, my friend. How you doing? Welcome back in. Again, if you're on YouTube, subscribe, share, leave us a comment. I actually dropped the link there. So if you're on YouTube watching, click on the link, and then you can come on and call in yourself and stuff. So I did some new AI background stuff. You'll see it. So we have some more stuff coming in. But tonight's show, really, when we get into after I break this down, because I got to move forward, because it's really, really, let's just say there's just so much, and I thought I was putting a show together, and then all this stuff broke within the last 3 hours. So I had to add this. So these are all the new breaking news, per se, if you want to call that. I hate that term, but this is all the latest information that's coming out from the White House and what President Trump is doing in response to the death of a National Guardsman. 2 of them, one was murdered. The other one's still hanging around for critical dear life. I mean, it's just, it's bothersome. Young lives that were just basically snatched up, and should have never happened. They're young. They just signed up, not even a day or two, 24, 48 hours to get that guard duty there. And, and the discussion and how the media has played this out is really disgusting. We're going to cover how much they're slime. Hope it all comes crashing down. I'm just so over it these days. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Hit the bell to be notified So when we go live, you know when we're live all the time. If you want to help out Marshall, Ko-Fi.com/surfdog74, you can help us out on Rumble as well with Rumble Rants. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. It's very important. So we're going to get into this. Breaking: President Trump canceled all Biden auto pen actions per se. And what we're going to get into is that what he's saying right now is any document signed by Sleepy Joe Biden with the auto pen, which approximately 92% of them is hereby terminated and no further force or effect. The auto pen is not allowed to be used for approval, not specifically given by a president of the United States. The radical left lunatics circling Biden around the beautiful Resolute desk in the Oval Office took the presidency away from him. I hereby cancel all executive orders and anything else that was not directly signed by crooked Joe Biden, because these people who operated the auto pen did so illegally. Joe Biden was not involved in the auto pen process. And if he says he was, he'll be brought up on charges of perjury. That's the perjury trap. Thank you for your attention on this matter. I'm not going to really go into it. I got so much more because I want to really have discussions and talking points about this, but I hereby canceling all these orders. And let me just go into brief synopsis about how these orders are going to play out. What do they entail per se that President Trump is speaking of? Executive orders, agency regulations, international agreements that were made illegally, appointments, pandemic era mandates. How about enforcements from the border, the rollbacks on those mandates? How about that one? Those are really big in general when you really start to question the soft underbelly of what the 2020 stolen election is about. And I think people need to understand what that means, Marshall.
Yeah, this whole thing with the auto pen, this is good. Brett, it really, just like we've talked about this before and we've gone down this road.
Mm-hmm.
All of this feels like a constant rollout that's just kind of like a script almost.
Right.
It's like it's gradually being brought to everybody's attention, and it's being unfolded in a way where people can understand it and grasp it and wrap their head around it. Otherwise, it would be chaos and people would lose their shit.
Yes.
So, it does feel like that. I'll have to say that.
This is, let me just say what this is per se. And I'm going to read this. President Trump may be angling to nullify DEI judge appointments made by Biden White House, as the Biden did not sign these commissions as required. As we talk about, as President Trump said, null and void many times, 2020 election stolen. What falls under that? Everything. Ketanji Brown Jackson, the 249 judges that were signed in, okay? Under what? Who signed them? Under the auto pen per se. A lot of people are saying, oh, that's not going to happen. Yes, it is going to happen. Yes, it is. Everything that was under the behest of that stolen election led to this. And this is where it's all breaking down. This would be massive. That means Ketanji Brown Jackson could be in danger of losing her seat, for example. Statutes dating back to 1792, one stat 281, still in force. 28 USC Code 1792, 5 USC 2902, and others require that commissions be signed by the president and president alone and sealed with the Great Seal. If a staffer used the auto pen to sign Biden's name without his authorization on commission of Article 3 judges, the argument can and should be made that their rulings are enforceable. Wow. Invalid. 92% of them. So they know for a fact. They have evidence. They have weight. That's why President Trump is saying, if you perjure yourself in this matter, we're going to bring you up on perjury charges and prosecute you. Let me say this. The discussion about this per se and what this entails, I think most people look at this and say, what's this really about? It's a ploy. It's a scheme. Is it a pretense? An attempt to make something that is not the case but appear to be true? Yeah, it is. It is an attention grabber. Is it bait? Is it relevant, irrelevant conclusions? Is it a misdirect? Is it an erasio ignorato elenchi, which is a logical fallacy where an argument is made that fails to address the larger issue in question, thus the 2020 stolen election debate, apparently refuting an opponent while actually disproving something not asserted here. That's what this is all leading to. It's called ignorato elenchi. Okay, it's kind of like what a red herring would be per se, but not as flashy. It's just another fallacy that is there to address the larger looming issue that is out there. I know for some people that's a mouthful and a tongue, and they don't know what it is. The auto pen is not allowed without president's direct approval. Biden was not running the country. He was propped up by the radical operatives that were running this country. That's President Trump's quote. The auto pen is not allowed to be used if approval, if not specifically given by the president of the United States. So anybody utilizing without his authorization was not allowed. But that's not even the consequence. That's just the soft underbelly of the conversation that we're having at hand. All right. In some way, what President Trump has made, we're slowly walking this back to get to the 2020 election. Okay. And you have to start at these levels to peel the onion back till you get back to where we were originally. And where we were originally, the stolen election. If we ever get to that. But the idea that everything has come out of this is basically how we're seeing it now and unraveling at the moment, Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, it's really incredible how it's playing out. I can't believe how it came out like so much in just 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's just inconceivable. But it really is going to reach and they're going to lose it now. I mean, the left is going to lose it. They don't know what to do. And there's really nothing they can do, because if you use that damn auto pen with a bunch of staffers,
mm-hmm.
you can't even use. The president is supposed to sign important documents. The auto pen is supposed to be used for like birthday, card or that kind of thing. It's not meant for, official.
Well, it's never been defined per se, but clearly going back to 2005 in the Bush White House, Justice Department said it's fine. But really, there must be something more, let's just say inherently discoverable that we're not talking about, we're not attributing to, other than the fact is the soft underbelly of what the discussion is. Again, when I'm talking about the fallacy that I guess precipitates throughout this conversation, I think most people are not really recognizing that fallacy. And the ignorato in elenque, or the red herring fallacy, basically is addressing the elephant in the corner, so to speak. All right. We're gingerly sidestepping the null and void of everything that is representative of Joe Biden without saying or displaying or proving that the 2020 election is, even though they have evidence behind the scenes. And it's a slow reveal. It's a slow walk to this reveal. This right now at the moment is basically just showing you we're leading up to that moment when everything just falls apart. Now, if Joe Biden's going to go testify, or other people who either pleaded the fifth in his cabinet or in his administration, so to speak, or some people have already been proven to be charged with perjury or what have you, we're leading to this moment. So he's probably not going to do that in some way, or the person impersonating who we think is representative of Joe Biden, whoever that guy is, he's just basically going to say, hey, I plead, I don't know. I don't remember anything. I was there. Because you can't walk this back. You can't have it both ways. It either is or it is not. And I think what President Trump is stating today is that we have to look at everything that just happened just a couple of days ago, what we've been living through for the last 4.5 years, 5 years, with the invasion all over the place, with the criminal illegal scum, illegal immigrants, people coming over from Afghanistan, Somalia, third world shithole nations, Venezuela, you name it. It's not just Muslim countries per se. There's a lot of different fascists, a lot of communists, a lot of different cartels, so many different, let's just say, intangibles that are inside and operating in our country at so many different levels. As Marshall likes to use the term broom, all right, that are being propped up by a certain state actor, and that state actor is utilizing this anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant narrative to help divide and conquer us, okay, through our brown and black citizens per se, while they allow the judges to continue on with this smokescreen of never-ending vicious circle and cycle of allowing criminal scum to go free while they know they're going to end up killing white people. That's the bottom line. And finishing this up, because I got more, President Trump says he's throwing out every document Joe Biden signed using the auto pen. This is just, I think we've been waiting for this. I know after 24, 48-hour dealings with what we're understanding is that this is a perfect, I think, a segue of how President Trump is reacting to all this in general. And I think we'll get to what happened, but I think President Trump is perfectly redirecting our attention and focus on the fact is this would have never have happened. I would have never had to put so many different National Guardsmen all through the United States, pre-mobilized, pre-militarized, all over. If this didn't happen, this should have never happened. It was allowed to happen. And this is what we have to do for our fight for survival. And anybody else that says that we should not have National Guardsmen in D.C., in Memphis, in L.A., or in Chicago, Charlotte, any place right now where there's criminal legal scum, third world, let's just say monsters that are roaming our countryside from third world countries that are assets of intelligence operators that are going to do us harm in a lot of levels. It doesn't matter. We should have never had to do this. But now we're leading back to know why this is happening. And we realize that more than 20 million illegals came in this country in the last 4.5 years. And it's really bad. So President Trump warns that if Joe Biden lies about using the auto pen, he will face perjury charges. Beautiful. That is a beautiful, big boomerang, Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much that's going to follow through with this. And again, I go back to what I said before, and that is all this stuff has to be rolled out in a certain way where people can wrap the normies
Right.
out there, the NPCs, that they can wrap their head around it. I think that this is a grand scheme, a grand screenplay that we're watching. The young woman that was killed, her death is not going to go in vain. It is going to be the most significant death, unfortunately, along with Charlie Kirk, that is going to bring about so much good things that their deaths will not go in vain.
No, they won't. And I think that this is the way that President Trump is active. He's trying to take this scenario, what had happened and should have never happened, and saying, see, if these people were not allowed to come in, they weren't vetted. We'll get to all that and explaining that. We'll talk about the Afghan death squad unit that this guy belonged to that was trained by the CIA, a paramilitary splinter group, all right, for the Taliban, all right, and he was an assassin, brutal assassin. You know, let's make torture great again and use it on these people. I'm all for it. And there are levels of torture that I can explain to you that are being used today that are considered legal. We'll explain that. So on the Sunday show, the seditious Sunday show, Slotkin told ABC that law enforcement, uniformed military like National Guard will start shooting American citizens. Yeah. If you are, just remember this, not even a week ago, she said this just a few days ago, claiming this. Benny Johnson put this out. This comes from the Pacific Pundit.
Look at these videos coming out of places like Chicago. It makes me incredibly nervous that we're about to see people in law enforcement, people in uniform military get nervous, get stressed, shoot at American civilians. It is a very, very stressful situation for these law enforcement and for the communities on the ground. So it was basically a warning to say, like, if you're asked to do something, particularly against American citizens.
So what she's saying is that, because they cut short and stuff, if you're asked to do anything and stuff, are you going to listen to orders, follow orders? This was the argument. Or are you going to go ahead and shoot American citizens? By putting that out, all right, you are setting a shot across the bow, and you're saying to letting everybody know, letting their assets know, letting all individuals know and stuff. Hey, look, you could be the next target. You might as well hit them now because they're going to come and arrest you later. And if you resist, they might even shoot to kill you. That's what they put out. That's their message to the brown shirt revolution that is basically now, let's just say, full frontal. I know what you're saying, Aloha Mom. He could have did this a while ago. I mean, other people said a curious cat. But the point is that he needed something to galvanize this in such a way that people will process it the same way you're receiving it. Just as much as you and I think he could have did this months ago and stuff, this was always there on standby for something to happen. We talked about this months when the first time the troops started going into D.C. And I said, what happens when they go to Chicago and all these other places and you start shooting at these people and they get hurt or killed? Oh, my God, what's going to be the fallout? Go back to my shows. I've been saying that left and right for months now. I've been talking about if any of these people are wounded, injured, or killed, the payback will be tremendous. And you are seeing this retribution, so to speak. He's pushing this full on. And I'm going to show you more stuff that's out there that most people aren't even talking about because all assets are being deployed right now in the narrative. Look at Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio,
She
Secretary
knows what
of State.
she's doing. That lady knows what she's CIA.
Yeah, of course they did. So Marco Rubio puts this out. He goes, enough's enough. I voted for President Trump orders being swiftly carried out to protect America. This is basically what it is. He's shutting down, temporarily halting all processing Afghan visas. All right, that's a start. That's good. Halting all Afghan. How about all visas? All right, we'll get to that. You have Scott Bessent coming out saying swinging right now. He makes a comment about this, which I thought was interesting. I don't know why this keeps. All right, there it goes. It says, at POTUS, real Donald Trump's direction, we are working to cut off federal benefits to illegal aliens and preserve them for U.S. citizens. Why are we even having? Why do they have federal?
In the beginning, yeah.
I mean, why is there federal benefits at all? Why were they receiving any of it? And now all of a sudden they're cutting them off. Well, this is just another example. So now people can't ho and hum because, look, President Trump is basically not reacting per se. What he's saying is that all these measures are now going to fall into place. We can no longer deal with this going forward, and we're no longer going to be allowed to deal with this currently, and we're not going to allow our great men and women of the National Guard be shot at when they're there to protect the American citizenry, protect the cities, to help ICE sweep through these cities to clean out the illegal criminal scum. I mean, the success of what we had where the National Guard's been in place, all right, whether you just think they're picking up trash, as some people said, which I thought was disgusting, but what? Cleaning up the cities, being there as a representation, all right, of enforcement for engagement. Well, federal officers, some of them already been federalized. Some of them are marshaling the law with federal officers per se and going out there and trimming the fat, cleaning up the rot and the filth, all right? But the fact that what happened and where we are right now is a reaction to this simply doesn't just go back to the seditious six that were operating in this manner. This is far more prevalent, and it's been going on for a while. You're just seeing it right now in your face. So he says right now, U.S. Treasury announced that it'll issue proposed regulations clarifying that the refunded portions of certain individual income tax benefits are no longer available to illegal and other non-qualified aliens. Wow. Covering the earned income tax credit, the additional child tax credit, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, and the Savers Match Credit. Wow. A very happy Thanksgiving salutation to the great American citizenry and patriots who have been so nice, allowing our country to be divided, disrupted, carved up, murdered, beat, mugged, laughed at, along with certain other foolish countries throughout the world. Yeah, I've been saying that quite a while. When is something going to be done? When are we going to do this? The next thing is, I think, the judges, because once you make the judges null and void per se, that falls under this. A lot of these judges, we're going to go through this process. Now, the process, how is that going to take a shape? Do we have a list to determine all the 249 judges that were put into position, that were installed, that were not elected, that were selected under this fake regime, the Biden administration? How are we going to go through the process? See, that's what you have to focus on. And that's where things are really going to get heaty. And it's going to, as this executive order puts through, he's basically declaring everything from the Biden administration is null and void. That means it's over. We just need Congress to start codifying these things to get passed to the Senate. And so he could sign these things off and move forward. Now, the question is, are the judges, these judges, are they going to try and block this in some way? What if it's the marshals come and arrest Ketanji Brown Jackson and force her off the bench? How is that going to look? How are we going to go through that process? See, these are the things, the machinations that I'm looking forward to seeing, because I want to see how this process plays out and how the enforcement of these executive orders will continue on, Marshall.
Well, if the next scene comes on this show that we're watching
Mhm.
is that the election was fraudulent, then that backs up everything Trump just did. And
Mhm.
then it's all solidified, and all of it under Biden is null and void.
Right.
And that's when we go to the next one, which will be Trump getting at least 2 more years.
Right.
That's just me.
No, I understand. I look, it makes sense. I understand where this is going, and I understand what President Trump just did. He basically just set the stage for 2020, opening the door for revisitation of the 2020 stolen election. Yes, that's what he is. I mean, this basically is as close as we're going to get to not just proving that the election was stolen, but by actually whitewashing everything under that administration, what they have done. Like I said, the executive orders, agency regs, international agreements, appointments, pandemic era, border enforcements, and rollback mandates from that. All these things, all right, is basically just simply whitewashing, magic eraser, whatever pen, erasing it all away until we get to the point of showing that everything that had happened and transpired, including January 6th, to sell this narrative was a ruse, was to what? Usurp the country, steal our election, and then here we are right now, rolling this back, showing everybody. And yes, it is a slow, soft walk back. He could have did it sooner, but this perfectly galvanizes the rationale of explaining this. So his best tweet of all time: MAGA celebrates Trump's seriously retarded immigration pause post. He put that out. A very happy Thanksgiving salutation to all great American citizens, patriots who have been so nice in allowing our country to be divided, disrupted, carved up, murdered, beaten, mugged, and laughed at, all along with certain other foolish countries throughout the world for being politically correct and just plain stupid. I'm not going to leave it. I'm sure you guys heard the rest of it. I could drop this in the chat. I just want to go through this. The announcement came day after 20-year-old special. Sarah Beckstrom, 24-year-old Air Force Sergeant Wolf, was shot by a 29-year-old Afghan national, came to the United States amid the Biden administration's chaotic 2021 withdrawal from Afghanistan. Hall of Fame banger here. Very happy Thanksgiving. I mean, basically, I've been saying on the show, I've been called a racist, a bigot, all these different zealots, all these different language and names and stuff, because I've been calling that out. When are we going to get justification to showcase that what we're dealing with now, a divided nation between browns, blacks, whites, where certain groups of elements are being used to kill white Christians? A lot of them. We're seeing on a 24-hour basis, and I'm sick and tired of talking about it, but it's a sad reality. And then finally, the president is finally recognizing this and calling this out. Yes, there are bigger entities involved, NGOs, and many other, let's just say, external forces that are help dividing a country. All right. With these armed forces, or so to speak, the brown shirt revolution and all the invaders that are in here that should have never came in here to begin with. Moving on. This is officially the all-time most important post from the president. An unending stream of third world immigration is crushing our country in countless ways. We need a moratorium. The left will predictably freak out in their shrill, unhinged, adolescent way. Ignore them. Yes, I think so. President Trump calls out Tim Walsh. Retard says Elon Musk married a brother to come here illegally. Wow. I mean, just basically just putting it out there on blast. We're at levels never seen before, and third world migration is being halted. I voted for every ounce of it. Yep. This is great. Great tweet of all time. I think everybody's recognizing absolute cinema. Everything is on blast. Others have already said it, but I will repeat it. This is Richard Barris. This is also going to be extremely popular and exactly what people voted for, despite the media freakout. No one cares about the media because how the media portrayed the National Guard, blame President Trump, and MAGA or Trump Republicans, whatever you want to call them, the most important Thanksgiving proclamation since George Washington, and a Republican who's caught opposing the tweet will be dealt with. How about that? I've read a tweet so many times that I almost had it memorized. Jack Persovic. This whole, let's just say, it's not about the MAGA tweet per se, not about calling the immigration what it is, seriously retarded, and stating what president. We've been waiting for this discussion about immigration, the conversation to actually be put on blast. Now everybody sees it. Halting all immigration, pausing, and what? Genuflecting or reflecting to or positing or pivoting to another position. What is that? Reimmigration, possibly? Counter migration? A lot of different subsects. Resettlement? I mean, you can look at the reverse migration that President Trump is already speaking in that tongue. Stephen Miller, Scott Bessent, Secretary of State, Rubio, they've all come out and starting to slowly walk this back. And I think now we're going to see a repatriation a lot more on a grander scale than basically just stating that everybody under this executive order is null and void. That means all these people, all these illegals, all these asylum people, all these people who got green cards or visas, you're all done. We're putting it on pause. We're revisiting you. And if we think that you shouldn't be here, you're gone too. That just adds to the element, the intrigue that's happening, and that I think is going to explode come very soon, Marshall.
Yeah, what we've been doing is and I've said this, there's charts out there, that the people that we've been bringing in all these years are the bottom of the barrel. I mean, we're not even bringing in talented people with skills. Mm-hmm. Over 50%, I've said before, of legal immigrants are on some form of welfare. Yes. None of these people are even white. A few of them, maybe. Okay, a few. All right. Okay, fine. but we're not bringing in smart people from first world country. Those are the people you want, but they've been bringing these in because it's the old Kalergi deal, this whole takeover,
Yeah, we'll
just
get
like
to
they've
that.
done to
All right.
Europe.
Yep. Trump promises to permanently pause migration from all third world countries. This comes from Legal Insurrection. This is a great discussion. The refugee burden is leading cause of social dysfunction in America. I would say so. Something that did not exist after World War II: failed schools, high crime, urban decay, overcrowded hospitals, housing shortages, and large deficits. I wonder why the suspect in Afghan national would permanently pause migration from all third world countries. That's just massive. It really is massive. It actually puts Minnesota on the map in the sense of we're going to have to go through Minnesota, Dearborn, Michigan, many different hovels of where they have a lot of third world refugees per se that are in this country that probably shouldn't be here to begin with, that have been skimming, milking, sucking off the tit of the United States government at what? At our expense, and that we're paying for, and it all has to come crashing down. I imagine Trump decided to go all in, hearing after Beckstrom, one of the National Guardsmen shot, passed away on Thursday. A very happy Thanksgiving when he's saying this. I'm not going to read his post again. I think Elon always been wrapped in her swaddling hijab, who probably came into the United States illegally, and that you're not allowed to marry your brother. Interesting. I will permanently pause the migration. He keeps saying this. I think, look, Legal Insurrection is pointing out that they're actually making an argument saying, did President Trump come to this? See, I think this is one thing we have to examine. Did he come to this rationale at this point, or was he waiting at the right time to pick this moment? Did he know something like this could happen and thus retain the plausible deniability to put forth this memorandum, this executive order, and where we are right now, pausing all migration in this country, or the asylums, the visas, the green cards, you name it, in some way? Was this a premonition? Was this a forecast? Did he see this as a harbinger in the future? Were they waiting for the right time to do it? Or was this always there? Or was there no right time to do it? They just wanted to do it at this time. That's the key, Marshall.
It's been bubbling up and boiling over all over Twitter, TikTok, Truth, and a few others. And thank goodness for Elon Musk, because so much information is allowed to put out on X and TikTok that people are not in the dark anymore.
Right.
Because before, all the information was coming from the channels on TV, the
Let me
cable
say
news.
Let me say this. If any and all questions raised going forward are to be utilized and targeted as terror boners to highlight the concern for and the use of National Guard as a domestic crime fighting operation, will that be litigated and propagated by federal judges to continually block these DC deployments, which, by the way, are on hold right now until December 11th? How much more legal battles will be put up as agitprop for much more broader discussion? That said, will the federal insurrectionist judges, the media puppets, communists, use their anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant sentiment to heighten, to stoke the flames, to resurrect a new 9/11 and a war on terrorism as it morphs into a backlash of Sarah Beckstrom's death and a conclave of media misdirects? Think about that. They're going to use this and come after us and say, look, this is the narrative that we should be focused on. We're bringing back, because the Patriot Act hasn't been properly repealed. So we have to put forth this discussion that how much longer do we have to deal with this counterterrorism or this anti-Muslim sentiment that is being also propagated, all right, through this? No one is going back to revisit a bombing Afghanistan or Iraq or all these other countries. But the media is going to spin this in some way that the anti-hate based upon this Muslim, okay, this jihadi or whatever it was, terrorist cell that was part of something, we have to go revisit this and what? Start global wars? The media is going to gin this up. They're going to use the federal judges to propagate this in such a way and say, look, if you take the National Guard off, most likely you'll have less incidents like this. All right. We've had over 1,100 incidents, okay? Attacks, assaults on ICE agents, on federal officers all over the place regarding what? Cleaning up this illegal immigration quandary that we deal with on a daily basis. All right. The fact that this happened, all right, is not going to be the last incident. And I think people need to realize it. But every hour that we think about how this is going to move forward back and forth and stuff will be based upon how the judges react. So the next step, by making it null and void, how much does this affect these judges that are federal judges that were appointed by the Biden administration? How fast will they be removed under the executive order? I'd like to see, will they all be arrested? How is this going to fall out? Because if they are acting with impunity and they have no authority, okay, and they are illegitimate and they were causing all the strain based upon this theft of a presidency through the Biden administration, what's going to happen to them? And how does that fall out from here? President Trump says Afghan man who was a CIA asset went crazy and then shot 2 National Guard members. Trump says he went completely crazy, and that's often happens to these people. He adds something happens to them and they go cuckoo. Okay.
Clean.
He went cuckoo. I mean, he went nuts. And that happens too. It happens too often with these people. You see them. But look, this is how they come in. This is how they're standing on top of each other. And that's an airplane. There was no vetting or anything. They came in unvetted. And we have a lot of others in this country. We're going to get them out. But they go cuckoo. Something happens to them.
Your DOJ IG just reported this year that there was thorough vetting by DHS
Oh, please.
and by the FBI of these Afghans who were brought into the U.S. So
Vetting.
why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because
for
they
what
let
this
them in.
man did?
Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person. And there's a law passed that it's almost impossible not to get them out. You can't get them out once they come in. And they came in, and they were unvetted, they were unchecked. There were many of them, and they came in on big planes, and it was disgraceful. And if you look, you'll see there was a law passed. It makes it almost impossible not to let them in, not to certify them, so to speak, once they come in. And they came in, and they shouldn't have come in. And frankly, the whole thing was a mess. The whole Afghanistan situation was a mess. It should have never taken place. If we're going to go out, and we would have gone out because I had everybody ready to go. We were going to go out with strength and dignity and precision. And we would have left from Bagram, and we would have kept Bagram, by the way, because of its very close relationship to China and where they make their missiles. But when you let the people come in by the thousands and thousands and thousands, they made a terrible mistake.
Terrible mistake. It wasn't a terrible mistake. It was purposely done. We know it was purposely done. President Trump is just being coy about that. But now, like Axios and Mediaite are attacking President Trump, saying there's something wrong with him. He's mentally unhinged. He's calling people retards. He's calling people this. He's calling people that. It looks like he might have a mental breakdown. And they're now trying to throw everything that they didn't cover with Biden onto him because of his reaction, what's happening right now. And they're losing. They're losing big time because the fact is they can't keep up with the ideas that's what's taking place. The more they talk about his faculties versus Biden's, and when we're seeing everybody understand the null and void consequences of the Biden administration and what falls with it, all right, really shows you the dissociation about how the media is, how NPCs and normies see this in some way. In fact, they're going to lose all credibility as much as whatever they have left right now going forward, because this right now is the subject, is the issue. This is the number one issue, I believe, that has been pulled, as Richard Barrett said, and many other people for a long time. This is why President Trump was elected president, because of the point of this. This is what people wanted to see. They're done with the H-1B visas. They're done with all this stuff. We're done looking at third world shitholes living in our country, stealing from our wealth, all right? Murdering and killing and raping and torturing people, dividing our country up between black and brown Americans, and then help incentivize, decentivize everything. All the benefits, all the federal subsidies they get under this false bravado that was provided to them because of the drawdown from Afghanistan. The lie that keeps on building and building and building is really going to what? Shatter a lot of people's head. There's going to be a lot of people when they wake up one day and realize, oh my God, the election was stolen. It was rigged. Oh my God. There are people just like, they're not going to be able to handle the truth about a lot of things. And this is just one, we're like a couple of steps away of peeling this onion back, removing judges. This is going to be great. I can't wait, Marshall, to see how judges are going to remove Ketanji Brown Jackson. Well, if you're null and void, do the marshals come and get you? Do they arrest you? Did you know you were null and void? Now, here's the argument that everybody should be taking as a reflection point. Did most of these people know they were null and void to begin with, and they served some type of purpose of being there? Was their names nominated for a certain select reason? Are we going to find that out? Are all these people just like shocked that they're there in these positions? Or each one of these people were there to do a disservice, a disharm, all right, to destroy our country within, to break our what? Judicial system to the point of no return, as we're seeing right now with all these injunctions. It's quite possible we can see a very large group of people be arrested and held accountable, liable, because of what? Impersonating officers of the court, Supreme Court justices, federal judges, and what have you, because not only they were put in there under these circumstances of being illegal, null and void, or not having legal law backgrounds per se to be a judge effectively, but the idea is that they were bought off, paid off to assemble to fill that position, and they had no qualification to do so. I wonder how far that leads back. Are we going to be able to determine that? Because the fight will be, once he lays out the executive orders, do we have the evidence to showcase that all these people were on a list to be put in these positions by Chucky Schumer from the Senate to be nominated and then go forth, all right, on the Senate, whether it's the Senate Oversight Committee, Judicial Committee, to move forward, and then Biden sign off on this stuff, or the auto pen sign off on it per se? Do we have a list of this stuff? Where does this go from now, Marshall?
Well, I think it's going to come to that. But one thing that really brought my mind to it is that when you were talking about the H-1B, and this reminds me of about a month or so ago when Trump brought up how great the H-1B visas were.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he did that for a reason because he wanted everybody to get riled up, fired up, get the wheels spinning, right? Get the wheels spinning.
Yeah.
And go, Trump, what are you doing? What are you talking? Remember how everybody freaked out, Brett? Everybody freaking out. What are you talking about? He does that for a reason. He wants you to get out there and start blubbing about it because he's trying to tell you something. But he wants you to figure it out on your own.
Yes.
And then come back and say, look, man, this ain't right. And now what is he doing? He's doing the exact opposite of what he said was going to be a good idea. He's basically telling you it's a bad idea, but he's trying to tell you it's a good idea so you'll understand that it's a bad idea, if that makes any sense, Brett.
Well, this retributive justice, this retaliation that some people are calling in some way, really is not. If you really think about it, it's just exposing the criminality from within that has been activated, that we're all seeing, that's being uncovered, rediscovered, and it's being put out there for everybody to process. Hogley 71, gift to the can. Welcome in, my friend. Thank you for the can. The cookie, Curious Cat, thank you for the cookie. Howdy back to you. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Questions, comments, or concerns. Let's hear your thoughts. Let's see what's on your mind. Rumble Rants, if you want to help us out on Rumble. Tracer C4, the propaganda that's allowed has been used. Most damaging thing around the world, why Trump's people don't address this. Big deal. Well, because you have to slowly engage these people to explain the reasoning, the rationale of understanding how we got to this point and how we're walking it back and fixing the problem. See, that's what people want. A lot of times, a lot of people don't want to know how we got here. Okay? They just want to know how it's going to be fixed, and so they can move on. But this is an education, a re-education to fine-tool what, people's short-term limited memories are for our historical stance. All right? And the 2020 stolen election, selected election, cannot go without purposely examination review. And I think that this is just one step away. This is a very big crossroads, okay, in our country in determining how much validity that election had or not had. And that's I think in some way, President Trump putting this out really, really just put a sharp right across the bow against the deep state, against the seditious six, all these people, because they're going to activate no matter what. So what does he do? So once they move, he moves. He counter moves this in this great position. He's now saying, yeah, everything's null and void. Executive orders all said and done. We're halting any immigration in this country. In fact, we're going to go through every single one of these people with a fine-tooth comb, and we feel that you shouldn't be here. Like President Trump said in that interview, he said, these Afghans, that's a very hard thing to walk that back. And now we're going to go through this and review this to make sure they shouldn't be here. How many ties to Afghan Taliban training sites? We don't know who these people are. No one knew who was vetted or not. There was no explanation. They're going to go through this. They're going to explain this, and you're going to see this on full blast. Let me show you this. So Nick sort of puts this out. He goes, holy crap. Trump just lambasted a reporter for asking why Biden for the Afghan terrorists being in the country, 47 even built. Are you stupid? They came with big planes unvetted. So we just saw that. But what he is saying, he's saying, look, he's putting them on notice. He's putting them on blast to let them know that the longer you continue on this trajectory, the harder it's going to be for you to fight the result, the end result that's going to come from this. And everybody's going to know that this was all a sham. Why is this not? All right. So this comes from Moderny News. The Piro goes crazy. Let's listen to Piro here.
Let me say one more thing, and it's not about this case. It's about vetting in general. The nonsense that the left gave us with this Operation Welcome Allies. Look, there was no vetting. If you think there was vetting, I have a bridge to sell you. If you saw the chaos that was going on at that airport in Kabul, in Afghanistan, it was typical of what was going on in the Biden administration. And
how did you know? I mean, let's face it. You had no idea who was boarding that plane, supposedly, who came over from that until they landed. And were they vetted from there? Did we have any way of vetting these people that got on that plane in some way that were promised to be here or not? Were they all trained by CIA? All right. And they were acting as this guy was. Apparently, he worked for an Afghan death squad. How many of these people that came over here were part of that unit? In brutality and torture. Yes, make torture great again. I think so. That means we need to bring back the death penalty on every single issue, whether it's federal, state, local, municipalities in general. Just make it a federal. We need it more than ever. We need many ways to what? Find and execute you for crimes against what? American citizens, humanity, you name it. You're in this country illegally. We need to raise the bar. Tina Peters was sitting in what? All right. Solitary confinement. Do you know the levels of what that is? That's considered torture at some levels. Most people don't know that what Tina Peters was dealing with, all right, that many people go through when they're in solitary confinement is considered torture. I don't think many people understand the long-term harm and anxiety, depression, paranoia, and psychosis that's prolonged from this. All right, that's an example of torture. How about the international law explanation? Any act by which severe pain or suffering, whether physical or mental, is intentionally inflicted for the purpose of obtaining information or a confession, punishment, or intimidation, or coercion, or based on discrimination. Bring back waterboarding. It worked well in the Bush administration. What I'm saying right now is that if we are to adhere to these international law, okay, what we are doing is we are hurting ourselves. We are not doing everything we can to protect our country from all this criminality that's all run roughshod all over the place. The idea that no one really gets persecuted, prosecuted, gets the death penalty in a lot of ways is really sickening. And I think it's come to an end right now when you see how many people on a daily basis are murdered, particularly white people from very different groups of people that are in this country purposely to hurt, injure, and maim, and basically what? To depopulate us on every level. Let me continue.
And the Pentagon, I believe it was Kirby and people in the Biden administration said the Afghan withdrawal that we all know was disastrous was a success. And that's a quote. They called that a success. That chaos is not a success. That is a nightmare. And 13 American servicemen and women were killed at that airport because the Biden administration couldn't get their facts together and couldn't make a decision regarding the rules of engagement to take down a known suicide bomber. So let's stop namby-pambing around with this, oh, he was vetted. There was no vetted. The welcome mat was thrown down. They even admitted that they short-circuited the vetting. What they did was they brought in 90,000 people into this country that were not vetted. They told us all the other immigrants were vetted. What do? Call the FBI in Afghanistan and say, gee, do you have anything on this guy? Did we call Venezuela and say, gee, how about your criminal justice system? What can you tell me about this guy? It's like the 10, 20 million American illegals who've been let into this country.
Think about this. These people just like she's saying, the criminal legal scum that snuck in through the back door, or that were flew in right above us, across the country, many places, Boston, you name it, all over the place, that were just dropped off, Oklahoma, California, you name it, a lot of different areas. She is basically talking about the idea is, think about this, and yet Jack Smith was what? He was secretly recording and spying on members of the Republicans in the House and the Senate. January 6th, think about how many people were arrested. They had no problem showing up your door, banging down your door to arrest you for peacefully protesting with your redress of grievances, arresting someone to just walk by taking a shit in a dumpster. No problem with that. But they just let these people, they flew these people in and said, go ahead, have a good time. Here's a credit card. You know, here's a place where you can go stay. When you get settled, give us a call. You know, when did we become Motel 6? I mean, it's just embarrassing. And she's right. It's not just there was no vetting. These people were purposely brought in. Many times, DeSantis talked about how people were coming in areas in Orlando that were being flown in. And then they were shipping people back. DeSantis shipped people back to Boston, all right, up in Massachusetts. So, and many different levels that these things were happening all over the country, and no one was calling out. The media all of a sudden now is what? They're trying to rationalize this, to really understand, how do we get ahead of this? How do we deal with this in some way? Because you can't take the side of this anymore. All right. As much as you want to blame President Trump for them being here and not call this guy out. All right. The idea that they're trying to split hairs there and saying because the CIA was involved with this, the CIA trained this guy. All right. Who was this guy staying at in Washington State? And then what was taking place in San Diego? We don't even know the bigger picture about how this guy got activated and drove across country with his marching orders to what? Take out these two people. Who gave him those orders? Let's finish this.
We don't know who they are until we suffer the consequences that we have seen in Washington. And I was on that scene, and it is a very sad place. And Sarah Beckstrom and her family did not deserve this. They should have been protected, which is the first order of government. And the left ought to stop their nonsense and recognize that they are not speaking for the American people. They are speaking about ideology and politics. Donald Trump, the president, the attorney general, and myself were interested in the facts, in the prosecution, making people accountable, and rest assured, we will.
Okay. What did you think about that, Marshall? I mean, do you believe that the Justice Department is going to hold these people accountable? I mean, Bonnie's saying he's getting the death penalty. Pirro's saying he's getting the death penalty. That's great. I mean, he should have got the death penalty the first time he shot these people, whether they lived or not. But that's not the point. Why do we have only instances when the death penalty is only necessary? We need to take it up a notch. That's why I'm saying the idea of torture, all right, has many different components, all right, has many different meanings, many facets that I'm talking about. We need to start raising the bar when you look at these people. If you're arrested 72 times for violent offense, murder, rape, torture, and stuff, you should get the death penalty. I don't care if you knocked over a candy store and you were arrested for the 7th time, you should be put to death. You're a recidivist. You're not going to change, and it doesn't matter. And there are many other people like that should be on that same trajectory. We cannot, in some way, try to fix these people, all right? There's no amount of psychology or amount of pills or anything that's going to change. Violent animals, like everything, needs to be put down, shot like a wild animal that has rabies. I'm sorry. A lot of these people, we have to start looking like that now. I don't know why. It's so racist. And so, like, when you say xenophobic in some way, that we see people getting murdered and killed and raped and tortured left and right. And then when you say anything about it, it's problematic. And you get told you're crazy. You need to take it down, blah, blah, blah. Oh, so you're not really noticing it, or you just don't want to notice it. You just want to look away and say, it'll go away on its own. Someone else will do something about it.
I think the death of the National Guard girl is the catalyst that's putting all this together.
Woman, not girl.
Well, that's what I meant. I mean, she was 20 years old. To me, she's
24.
Really young.
Yeah,
I
she's a
thought
baby.
She was 20. Yeah, she's just
a
a kid.
Baby. Yeah.
So I think she was the catalyst. Her and Charlie Kirk were two very strong callous towards what we're building up to. And we're not going to get everything at once. This is all part of the whole rollout. I don't, don't get, just, and I don't think Pam Bonnie's in control of any of this. I think it's like you've said, we've talked about, there's a bigger controlling effort going on with this whole effort.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that.
Yes. I think you're seeing just the face, the cover of what's really that's just right in front, but not that really just, it's just a mirror of what's really behind it. The weight and power that's behind it, that's actually doing the real, let's just say, machinations behind the scenes to solve the problems we're facing right now. I think what you're seeing is just very top layers of a prima facie, just like, a lot of people make that conversation about Halligan, her being a realtor, a real estate license, and how she's not a prosecutor, and how that Letitia James case is not going to come back, and James Comey and stuff. And I think it's going to come back, but it's going to come back in a different form. I think the prima facie that we see right here, that's right before our eyes and stuff, is only there as a veil to keep us invested, to keep us talking about what could be and what is probably deeply entrenched behind the scenes. I believe that, because what I see up front is not cutting it. All right. And that's why I hold my breath about a lot of things, because I'm not necessarily sure that's the mass distraction or misdirection that we're led to believe. Like, it appears that people aren't doing anything, but behind the scenes, it's really happening. And you start to hear these hiccups come around now. And I think President Trump putting out this executive order and actually just shutting down every level of immigration right now. Reverse migration is now the plan. Trump unveils a reverse migration plan. This comes from Amuse. Halt third world immigration, revoke Biden entries, denaturalize offenders, and expand deportations. After the Afghan parolee terror attack, he says America must recover. All right. I think, yes, it's not just America must recover. America must heal. Not just recover, rebuild. We have to go through. Think about how many people we've covered over this timeline of people have been murdered, children, women, you name it, by illegal alien criminal scum. All right, that just murdered little girls, kids left and right. And what happens? Whether they get arrested, they get deported, they get sent back. What about the true justice about these people? There are many people that President Trump has discussed and talked about. We've heard many angel moms left and right. You hear a variety of different people from all walks in life that are paying the price of what was allowed to happen under Biden's watch, and the deep state and the criminal cabal and the globalists that were involved with this immigration program. That's not just here in the United States. Look what's happening in UK. And we'll cover that in a little bit. And New Zealand and Australia and Ireland. It never ends. The destruction of white America is before you. And if you want to take that insult and swallow it, all right, then it's okay. It's okay to accept the R word. There is nothing wrong. When you're calling something out to be real and true, it's beyond racism. You are seeing it. They just want to preclude you. They want to let you cover your eyes and say, don't look over here because it's not really happening. It was a one-off. These things happen all the time. Don't be interested. They want you divested, not invested, about pushing back and about what? Freaking out for what you're seeing. I mean, honestly, the fact is that I get so tired of people like making comments and stuff like that. What are you saying? How could you say it in some way? Listen, there are many of us that I know who don't want to speak about it, but deep down, they feel exactly what I'm saying. You know it and I know it. And don't hide from it. Accept who you are. And deal with the fact is, this is the reality. Unless this is dealt with, we are facing an extinction. Oh, yes, America is on a seesaw, okay? And President Trump doesn't do this, okay? And we don't see an insurrection act where a mass push of arrest of all this criminal legal scum to remove these people, a repatriation, whatever you are, remigration out of this country, back to the shitholes or whatever, into prisons or maybe even worse. I don't really care. There are monsters roaming this countryside, and they need to be dealt with, whether this government deals with it or we're going to have to be dealt with it. I mean, that's something you got to think about, because people talk about vengeance. People talk about retributive justice. They talk about the idea is that we don't want these people roaming streets, shooting these people, and bringing them down. You know, what do I say about all that time, Marshall?
and they laugh in your, these people, these non-white people,
Hmm.
they literally laugh in our faces about this.
Yes.
They're so arrogant and so defiant that they're like, yeah, we're gonna, what are you gonna do about it, Whitey?
Hmm.
This is how bad it's gotten, Brett. I've never seen it like this in my whole life. When I was a kid, it was never like this against blacks. It was all back in the 70s and 80s. It was all like kind of 70s, the soul music, and everyone was everybody was laid back. Everybody was laid back. And now it's just so, and Obama, I blame Obama starting all this shit.
Well, it's so blatant. It's so blatant in your face, and you understand it. But look, these different levels of people, whether it's the Somalians, Afghanis, many different individual groups, Muslims, non-Muslims, what have you, Jews, you name it. All these people, subversions that are out there that are contributing to this delineation, depopulation, divide and conquer that are out there. And it's not just here. It's many different facets from third world nations all over that are in this country, that are splintering this country, that are killing off the American populace, the American way of life, the American dream, the belief that we can have our future. That's why many people feel the sense that we need to step this up. We need to accelerate this at a level never seen before. The fact that this is being called out, and that's part of my show and stuff. Do you think these are empty threats, or do you think President Trump's going to carry out? I'll bring that back. Breaking Somalians and other Muslim migrants are in mass panic, fearing imminent immigration raids, and deportations now that President Trump has done with the BS. ICE directed Minneapolis, Philly could be anywhere. Listen to this.
State of Minnesota. The president has called to end the temporary protected status of Somalians living in the state of Minnesota.
Blatant marriage fraud, visa overstays, people claiming to work at businesses that can't be found, forged documents, abuse of the H-1B visa system.
Guarantee you would be in jail if you're white.
Did you hear that? He
Use of
mentioned
the
H-1B.
F-1 visa.
When someone's temporary protective status is lifted, they are now illegal alien. Whether it's Minneapolis, could be Philadelphia, could be anywhere. We're going to go ahead and remove those elements out of our country, because at that point, especially the game here under false pretenses, that's what ICE does as a law enforcement mission. We have to ensure that we remove those people from our community.
Yeah. Listen, I don't disagree with that. I think it's now going to ramp up. People are going to see this. They're going to be what? Provoked by the very thought of what President Trump put forth. People are going to be demanding it. They're going to be expecting this retributive justice. They're going to be expecting not necessarily vengeance, but they want something in some way, retaliation, something to take place that we feel that is actually being done, that we can feel it, we can see it. Everybody knows it's going to happen. The question is when and how. That's what I'm wondering. Is it empty threats, or is this a ball-crushing fear for the illegal criminal scum? And does this ramp up, Marshall? All right, does this ramp up the hotbed of activity that is now going to take place, that we can enter into what I say from a de facto state of war into a full-blown scale civil war in this country?
I want to pose a question to everybody out there. Who do you think, what group of people do you think hates white Christians more than anybody in the world? And you just pondered that, I'll leave it there. Because there's more to this than the out front, what we're talking about right now. Go ahead, man.
So the D.C. Shooting deepens tensions over National Guard deployments. This is where I'm talking about, where you're going to get into the media puppets, the communists, and all these other people to placate this. They're going to utilize their fake judges, the phony judges that are under the Biden appointee, null and void pen, that are going to effectuate this and to continue on blocking with injunctions. That's why President Trump put forth this. And that's why they highlighted the null and void of the judges, Ketanji Brown Jackson, and the 249 judges that were appointed. Think about that and how that's going to play into it. We're going to have to systematically weigh these. I mean, President Trump can go through a whole process next year after these judges are deemed inoperable, all right, because of who they are. There's a list of these people, their names that are out there. I guarantee it. And they're going to go and arrest every single one of them. Question is, what do you do with these arrests? Are they complicit? Were they working for, knowing full well they were installed? Absolutely. Because they were handpicked to be put in these positions because they didn't have some type of legal background. They come from a third world nation, knowing they're not going to toe their line to and take that oath for America. Of course, the question is, when do we see this list? When does this begin? I want to start to see this very soon. An Afghan refugee suspected shooting of 2 National Guardsmen. All right, Ramallah Lakanawal was evacuated following the U.S. withdrawal in August of 2020 and received asylum this year. He drove from Washington State to commit Wednesday's attack, which the FBI is investigating as terrorism. Both victims are in critical condition. One is unlikely to survive, which we already know. The shooting will further inflame the highly politicized debate over U.S. President Trump's deployment of National Guard troops who are stranded somewhere on this battlefield of partisan politics. I thought that was interesting to put out. A former Homeland Security official argued in The Atlantic, politics is not a military mission, but yet they made that. The seditious six, many operatives inside the House and the Senate, many people in the media, pundits, made it. They made it this way. And now they're trying to reverse it and throwing back on President Trump, onto MAGA, on the American populace and say, see, you wanted this in some way. But see, this is what the fallout happens when you get someone shot from the National Guard. All right. This is only going to elevate. This is only going to peak. And it's really Trump's fault. Right. See, that's how they're playing this. They're saying politics is not a military mission until it what? See, this is why Mark Kelly has to be indicted. He has to have the UCMJ arrest him. He has to be indicted, tried, and convicted for seditious treason for what he has done. And I think he will be, because you will have to show in some way he's serious. What Slotkin did, I don't know how the Justice Department's going to go forward with that. Even though she worked for the CIA, I don't know if the USCMJ, even though we talk about these tribunals and all these different things, how far does their reach? If you work in the government, you're a congressman or a senator, I'm sure there is reach where they can pull you into this and hold you accountable for the very reason that you are what? Transmitting seditious conspiracy out into what? The ether, so you can stoke the flame of what? Separating the control. And I think by having the media see this and how people talk about seeing someone shot, that's in D.C., 2 people shot, it gives pause and wait for all the other people that are National Guard that are going to be called up. Hey, I don't know if I want to do this. My life might be on the line. If I'm not going to be carrying a gun and I'm told I can't use it because a Slotkin said these people are going to be trained on American citizens. Well, if you shoot at them, they're going to shoot back at you. I think the point of understanding is that we need to define the terms of engagement. The rules of engagement now have to be even more defined. Are these orders going to be given? If you were fired at, you return fire. Are you armed? Because the one guy that took out his pocket knife and stabbed this Afghan terrorist, all right, in the neck, and when another person shot him and stuff because he was unarmed and stuff, all right, and all they did was bring him down to a very bare minimum and stuff. My question is all the National Guard going to be armed? I'm not saying with, rifles or what have you, a pistol, say. I want to know what the rules of engagement are. We're going to have to go through this process right now, because I think right now we need to defend these people. Now, if they're just going to be out there unarmed or going to be working in concert with marshals, with federal agents that are armed, and they have to be around them per se and stuff, we should give them the flexibility and viability. No, instead, they're going to open fire. If you declare the Insurrection Act, you think that this is going to that you don't think you're going to have an uprising? You don't think people are going to repel borders? You go into Chicago, you've been to the south side of Chicago, you think these people, these mutts over there, these animals, they're animals. You think they're not going to shoot back? Not on the USDMJ. Brett has to be the civilian courts. No, I understand that. What I'm saying is, but she's a government official. Slotkin worked for the CIA. Maybe she still works for the CIA. I'm not really sure. I don't even know if Pam Bonnie's going to do anything about it, per se, even if they can. Or at least on the face value we're seeing. But I want people to explain to me that when the Insurrection Act is called in some way, who's going to go out there armed, okay, going in to arrest the governors and the mayors? And if there's repelling of the borders and a rebellion, when you arrest the big names out there per se, and you sweep in and you shut these big city-state fiefdoms down, you're going to tell these people are going to be unarmed? You think they're going to be unarmed? Do you think the National Guard in L.A. during the 1992 riots didn't repel borders? You should go watch that documentary. People were shot. And then American citizens, Korean citizens, armed themselves on the rooftops to protect their businesses. We're shooting and killing people left and right. If it comes to us and we have to do it because the rules of engagement say they can't open fire, then why are they there? That's what the media wants to do. They want to personify this in such a way to bring down the level of what? Orders that President Trump put forth. We don't even know if these people, a lot of them have already been what? Deputized. The question is, we're not fully, let's just say, in the know of how this is going to play out. Go ahead, Marshall.
No, I think that there's no doubt after this, you have a death of a National Guards person, and there's just no way that they should all be armed with at least semi-automatic rifles.
Right.
Forget playing around, and a sidearm for good measure.
They should be armed.
They
I'm
should
not
be
saying
fully
walking
armed.
around with grenades. I'm not saying walking out.
No,
I
they
mean,
should
you
be
can
fully
find,
armed.
you can have lethal and non-lethal weapons on you. You can carry that simultaneously. All right. The police do. I mean, honestly, police do. Marshals do. Federal officers do. I mean, there are people that, so why can't they? They should have it. Okay. You don't want to just roll with Secret Service or federal agents always in between them to protect them. They need to have protection themselves. All right. In coordination with this is. How did the sneak attack happen in this matter? How did they know these people were targeted? It seems like she might have been targeted. We'll get to that. So the Blaze Media comes out, shut the F up. White House hammers New York writer for trivializing National Guard members' sacrifice. Yep. 2 West Virginia National Guardsmen patrolling the national capital was shot the day before Thanksgiving. 29-year-old Afghan National Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem indicated one of those were unvetted mass paroled in the United States under Operation Allies Welcome on September 8, 2021 on the Biden administration. All right, move forward. The father says, my baby girl has passed to glory. The fallen guardsman's father, Gary Beckstrom, noted in a Facebook post Thursday, this has been a horrible tragedy. Yeah, should never happen. Amid the general outpouring of prayers for support for the victims and their families, the New Yorker magazine chief Washington correspondent scumbag Jane Mayer decided to trivialize the military member's sacrifice. This is my point of what I'm saying. This is so tragic, so unnecessary. These poor guardsmen should never have been deployed, wrote Mayer. Right then and there, all right, the media spin operatives of the CIA inside this vestibule of vipers and snakes, trying to underline and undercut the president's orders and sow discord inside the media by printing this drivel. I live in D.C. and watch as they had virtually nothing to do but pick up trash. Now there's garbage men. That's what she's saying. So after this woman was shot and this other young gentleman was shot, guardsmen, all right, now she's calling them garbage men. Mayer's apparent suggestion that the National Guards who died. Do you know the National Guard has many roles that they play during when they're activated? I mean, they were there for Katrina to bring civilian order when the police department was the police department was just gone, scattered. It was chaos. People looting, people murdering. You don't even know half the story that went on there. People walking around in what? 10 feet water holding up what? TVs. Remember those video footages? No, you don't. You have short-term memories. That's why, all right? They're there to what? Keep the order, keep the peace. So she's calling them garbage men. And others overseeing historic transformative decrease in violent crime in Washington, D.C. were glorified garbage pickers. Did not go over well. The American people, no, doesn't go over well with me. White House Communications Director Stephen Chung, responding on X, officially wrote, James, respectfully, shut the fuck up for trying to politicize this tragedy. Absolutely. What a disgrace. But this is how they are. At one level, they're calling them trash pickers, garbage men. Okay? Garbage men, garbage women. That's what they're calling them. And in the other light, they're saying, well, President Trump put them in harm's way. Wait a minute. How many people were killed, okay, during the fall of Afghanistan? American servicemen and women. 13 were murdered, executed, left behind. They killed all these German Shepherd dogs, all this other stuff. Because what? The Muslims, the Taliban, they love dogs over there so much. You know, we don't get into all that other stuff. Go ahead, Marshall.
That's why I think that the National Guard should have people in special ops sworn over, signed up, locked in and loaded. I really do believe that, man. Don't just, have them pair up, have them double up. You get one guy that's like not really trained. He's a weekend warrior. That's like that old movie, Southern. What was that movie where the National Guard guys went down to the Louisiana, the swamps? Southern.
I think I know what
that
you're
liquor.
talking about.
That liquor drink, Southern sweet stuff. Southern.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. It's a great movie, but they don't know what they're. These are just they're just training. They're weekend warriors, man. So they should have a special op trained person with each one. I mean, I really do believe that. And they need some badasses out there.
Yes. Sausage Launcher says Southern Comfort.
That's it.
Is that what it was called? Southern
That was the
Comfort?
name
I
of the
know the
movie.
liquor.
It was National
Gross.
Guard guys went down to Louisiana
Yeah.
to the swamps in the Cajun country to do training. And they got wrapped up with the Cajun people, and the Cajun people were going to kill them.
Oh.
And
He says that's a good movie, Powers Booth. I never saw it.
Great movie.
Oh, okay. I got to check it out. One
You should
movie I haven't
watch that
seen.
movie, man. It's bad.
It's called Southern Comfort, like the liquor?
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
an awesome movie.
Okay.
Really is.
I will check it out.
It's got the guy from Kane, from Kill Bill.
Oh,
the guy that,
yeah.
His brother is in that movie.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. So like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a call if you like comments, questions, or concerns. I dropped the actual stream if you want to come on. You can help us out here if you want to help out. MarshallKofi.com/surfdog74. Let me continue on with this. Flashback. Afghan national tried to kill 3 police officers. Jamal Wali. I should have served with the effing Taliban. Look at the date, 4/23/25. This is April this year. Looks what happens.
Broke. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're going through a really rough time.
Man, I should have served with fucking Taliban better than you. I was concerned and a fucking dumbass fuck when I was concerned about Taliban, but in America, since 2014, I'm concerned about more about you people. Because you lie, because you play games, that's how I'm going deeper.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are my partners here. They're coming up. I don't want you to get rattled, but it's because you were reaching for your weapon.
No, I'm not reaching, sir. Hey,
I watched you do it.
I don't give a damn fuck. It brings as many people as you can.
Okay.
Go ahead. You're not listening. What I'm telling you.
I am listening to you.
I have 4 children. I have 4 children. Do not reach your gun.
We're paying for it.
Yeah.
Rob, everybody slow down. You just have to say, slow down, 1441.
Hey, so listen, American. This is, take it. I take this with you, okay?
So now you want to give me that?
Hey, don't you reach, dude.
800 Bravo, shots fired.
800 Bravo, shots fired.
800 Bravo, signal 1.
Looks like one of the cops are hit.
He was.
801.
Just some great people. Let's just bring in more scum. Like, we don't have enough monsters roaming our countryside here that are supposedly American citizens that are just batshit crazy, that have been arrested 100 times, and they just go in and out of jail, continuing on their, let's just say, rampage, a murder, torture, death kill, so to speak. I mean, we need to channel our own Pearl Kersey. Where is Bernard Goetz? Remember Bernard Goetz in 1984? All right, when he shot 4 black kids trying to rob him on the train, and then he went to jail for that, for defending himself. That's how the crimes, all right, of these sanctuary state fiefdoms, the fact is, and why a movie like Death Wish was so popular back in the late 70s and 80s. Because the hands of justice should flow through us, because our system is broken and no one wants to do anything about it. Yes, there is nothing. That's why stand your ground in Florida. People say, Brad, watch that vigilantism. What do you think stand your ground is? It gives you an opportunity not to be precluded by the laws in the state to protect and defend you and your family. It's that. We're right up on that line. That's exactly it. I'm not saying go out and just ba. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying was when your life is threatened and you have an opportunity to defend yourself, you take it. That's where we are right now. And I think we're so under assault right now. And I'm completely shocked when I say these things. I get messages like, I don't want to talk to you. You're disgusting, horrible and stuff. Hey, if you don't want to wake up to the reality of what we're living in, well, then you can go back to your cave, your hovel. Go back and watch your MTV. Go back and watch whatever you want to watch, all right? Be anesthetized. Go back to sleep. Reality is coming, and it's coming quicker than you think. But what you understand as a reality is something far greater and far more pervasive, Marshall.
Yeah, this guy, Brett, I sent you this video. This guy was a translator for the CIA or the military, same thing, over in Afghanistan. He's so they consider him an ally. Well, not really. I mean, you paid them over there and help you out. Why are we just bringing you over here with your 4 kids and your freaking wife?
Yeah.
And then what do? They get over here. He had no driver's license, no insurance, no registration, and he's saying we're trying to target him.
Yeah.
None of it. You and I would go to jail and they would tow your car, Brett.
Yeah.
They would put you in that paddy
Well, there are a
wagon.
lot of people that live in this country who have no ID, no insurance. They basically everything that you and I have to have, they don't have. And they're allowed not to have it. And they get a pass for not having it. And they get subsistence, they get federal benefits, they get SNAP, they get health care. And we're paying for it.
$50,000 a year.
Grady Judd will come pick up the body. Yep. Oh, he's great. The sheriffs around here are fantastic. Come and pick up the body. Brunson was the man. Listen, America. What is stay in the Plato's cave? That's a good one. I like that. Very good. Smart. Equalizer. Absolutely. Great movie. The United States did not attend G20 in South Africa because South African government refuses to acknowledge and address horrific human rights abuses endured by Afghans, all right, other descendants of Dutch, French, German settlers, Christians, to put it more bluntly. They're killing white people and randomly allowing their farms. See, President Trump saying it, Christians, white, and he's putting the semblance of all these different people that are, and randomly allowing their farms to be taken from them. Perhaps the worst of all, soon to be out of business New York Times, fake news media won't issue a word against the genocide. That's why all the liars and pretenders, the radical left, are going out of business. And at the conclusion of G20, South Africa refused to hand off the G20 presidency to senior representative from U.S. Embassy who attended the closing ceremony. Therefore, in my direction, South Africa will not be receiving an invitation to the 2026 G20. Let them starve. Listen, they're not going to have farms to produce. No one's going to want to trade with them. They're going to eat their own, which will be hosted in the great city of Miami, Florida next year. South Africa has demonstrated to the world they are not a country worthy of membership anywhere. There are many countries that are not members, they shouldn't be membership or anything. All right. We are going to stop all payments and subsidies to them effective immediately. Why were we sending the money to begin with? Thank you for your attention. We should give all those white South Africans a visa. Come over here. Let's set you up with farms. Let's set you up with farms while we send back all the filth and a rot that are non-whites over to that country and see what happens to you. Good luck with that. See if there's law and order over there. Yeah, they're not going to like you either. Okay, Marshall.
They have the talent.
Oh, yeah, I know.
They have the talent to run the farms.
In this country.
And over there, they take over the farms and they destroy them.
Yep.
That's what they do. And I'm sure Elon had a lot to do with letting Trump know what's going on over there.
Absolutely. He knows it.
Sick,
He knows what's
disgusting.
going on. But
Well,
Elon
yeah,
Musk
he did,
every
but-
now and then calls out the white genocide or the white, let's just say, the white killing fields of America that are happening all the time across this country. Elon Musk calls that out all the time. Yes, he is. She was Googled in Israel. This comes from Drago before the shooting. The name of Sarah Beckstrom, the National Guard member murdered by Afghan CIA asset in D.C., was Googled by someone in Israel days before the shooting. See if I can blow this up. Yeah. Look at this. Overtime. Look at the date. November 20th at 8 p.m. Interesting. Okay. Just wanted to show you that was out there. A lot of people are posting. You see they're already deleting it. A lot of people are commenting on it. Let's listen to this.
Today, November 26, 2025, and what they're calling an ambush-style attack just blocks from the White House in Washington, D.C. The suspect, they tell us, is a 29-year-old Afghan national named Ramanullah Lakanwal. Police are saying he was a quote-unquote lone gunman who ambushed the National Guard. Now, here is where things get weird. Just a few minutes ago, I went on Google Trends to do a little research, and it looks like on November 20th, 2025, which is 6 days prior to the attack, there was a very small but noticeable spike in searches for one Ramanullah Lakanwal originating from the DC area. I then zoomed in to see what the search activity was for just this past day. And wow, would you look at that? A massive spike in searches for Lochinwall in the wee hours of November 26, 2025, the day of the attack. A spike that dwarfs the number of searches for Lochinwall even after news of the shooting broke later that afternoon. This is all very strange, right? Why would people have been searching for Lochinwall's name a week prior to the attack? Not only that, a massive spike in the wee hours of the morning, the day of the attack. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, the other bit of context that I'll add is that on November 20th, 2025, which is the same day Lochinwall's name shows up for the first time in Google searches, a judge ordered an end to Trump's troop deployment in DC, calling it unlawful. Now, could all this somehow be related?
Could be. I'm not really sure, but I think that was an interesting component to think about. I saw that over X. Wasn't really sure on how it was playing into a lot of different things. Let me do this.
I think he was activated.
Could be. We don't know. I mean, we don't know enough about this guy to begin with, so we're not really sure. The Kalergi plan, planned by white genocide, carried out by Jews. That's an interesting thought. So basically, the idea of the clergy plan is where Jews in general push their broom in, which is basically what they consider the Muslims that, in biblical terms, are part of what I think are descendants of. I forget the descendant that they're saying who it was. I forget the name per se. It just leaves me at the moment. But the point is, they use them as let's just say tools to what? To invade, to destroy Europe, to genocide Europe, and to push them out into that so they can take over the world using them as their artifice, as their weapon, so to speak. That's what's happening in North America as well. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. Ashmiel, I think that's the descendant. Ashmiel is the descendant. So, but that's in the context of that and how they think of us and what is being utilized. So, a lot of people, really don't give it pause in some way unless you do your research to understand this is real. This is happening all over the place. We have been assimilated. We've been divided. We've been, let's just say, invaded with every possibility that we can. And this country is holding together. It's holding together by what? Glue? I mean, realistically, when you think about how far along we have been compromised, co-opted in so many ways, and how our government in general, our intelligence apparatuses, our individual cities and states have been just controlled and sold out and through cartels and many other different gangs and global interference in some way. We're lucky we're holding on now as it is. And this is what President Trump is fighting back on a daily basis. This is why they want to end him. This is why there are many things that we're seeing right now before our eyes that is breaking, that the cracks are breaking and no longer people can keep up. And this is one example of President Trump pushing back about this remigration program. He's finally getting together to push back on this narrative, which is going to end the problems we have in this country. Once it's really total, we could see the numbers and stuff. There might be we might have a moratorium of just allowing anybody in this country for at least a full year or two. You would have to do that. I mean, and honestly, why are we sending $20-something million a week to the Taliban? Why is that still going on? So Grace Chung puts out, this is Winners. Natalie Winners puts this out. I believe she put this out. I think she had this out back in August. Winners, they want to replace you with illegal migrant labor. The UN is rolling out AI tool to fast-track refugee emissions into Western nations, letting them control flows of race, religion, or politics. Meanwhile, the UN and WEF push a global plastics and pollution treaty to gut Trump energy and economic policies. Yeah, August 11, 2025, she put that out.
Place you and your jobs with I guess in this case, it's not illegal alien labor, it's legal immigrant labor. And yes, that's right, Media Matters. We're going to use the R word, replace. But over the weekend, I found out that the United Nations has been secretly working on a new artificial intelligence tool to help speed up, they say speed up, streamline refugee admissions processing into a lot of countries, including Western countries. The tool, they say, is going to help, reverse backlogs in these cases. They're going to look for deficiencies in the current technology. But this is obviously a 5-alarm fire, sound the alarm, because this is going to give the UN the authority basically to have an on and off button, a switch, toggle it on, toggle it off with regard to controlling refugee flows into countries. They can essentially prioritize through AI vetting refugees based off of race or demography or religion or political beliefs. So we're definitely going to keep tracking this story. The program is just being rolled out. It's still in its infancy. But this is something that I think is extremely, extremely concerning. Also, we got all the UN and WEF bureaucrats as we speak working on the global plastics, global pollution treaty, which is, I guess, Pandemic Treaty 2.0, the way that they're going to try to reverse everything that President Trump is trying to do with regard to strengthening American energy and strengthening the American economy by doing the former and instead making us subject to a supranational globalist hellhole regulation black hole.
Well, President Trump already pushed back on that because part of the executive order null and void, which the international agreements have to do with the climate change fraudsters and the environmental agencies that were put forth, that were codified in supposedly null and void as well, that will be removed, that we will no longer have any controls of it. I mean, there are many facets to what was signed that we were and somehow connected to or installed with and no longer are going to be that after President Trump's executive order. I look forward to him signing that and pushing back on how all the whole of all this stuff is going to change come soon. And I think that more to follow on this. We have to keep an eye on that. Moving on, I got a little bit more before we dip out early. This is another thing I got. I'll show you this. you all think I'm crazy? What do they all have in common? University professors, university campuses that allow this type of rhetoric to be spoken, to educate and teach people. I wouldn't say educate. What they are is they're brainwashing people into hating white people. And this is why we have the problems today. And so that's why you have so many different multicultural people that go to these colleges and they learn this stuff and they end up hating whitey. Make white America great again. Make it so great again. Yes, long live white people. Because that shit is the reason we're in it today. Department of Education, gone. That's part of that problem. NGOs, part of the problem. The government funding, the subsidies that go to these colleges and stuff. You know what? The idea about these H-1B visas, and when Laura Ingraham said, you know what, why don't we just, 600,000 Chinese? Well, if President Trump said, well, if we continue leaving these universities will go bankrupt. Yes, they probably should go bankrupt, because how they educate these people with these syllabuses that they teach what? Anti-white rhetoric 24/7. It's never going to end until what? You pull federal funding, pull the Pell Grants. You know what? Good luck on your own. Good luck paying your presidents of your university millions of dollars so you can advocate hate whitey. It is garbage. I went to a college. I dealt with stuff in the 90s. You know what? I regretted ever going to that school. I do. To this day, I do. It was a big mistake. If I had a chance to do it over, I would do it a lot over. But that's it. But you live and learn by what you deal with. And I dealt with it 24/7. And you know what? The idea that we need this type of education out there is no longer. That's why this Gen Z, Alpha, Beta, whatever, they don't want to go to school. They want something else because they don't want to be in debt. If they find real jobs out there, all better for them, because they're not learning anything in school other than to hate themselves if they're white. In fact, hate other white people and become even more batshit crazy. We are on a trajectory of losing this country because of rhetoric and institutions like that. I hope half our colleges go under. We don't even need them. We need to go back to apprenticeship. We need to go back to institutions that what? Teach people skill sets and jobs. Learn to code. Remember that? Yeah. How are those people who learn how to code don't know how to fix their own fucking toilet? Put up a wall in their house, lay wood, do anything. We're in trouble. We're in trouble. And you want to import H-1B visas over here when half these people are so mind-fucked? Are you kidding me? And then we got to deal with that dirt slop? Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, it's like, speaking of slop, this is all slop for the goy. It's all goy slop. That's what it is. Because they've taken over these universities that we built. We built these universities, Brad. Mm-hmm. The white man, Mr. Whitey.
We built the city on rock and roll.
Be very careful when you're around these people.
Yeah.
Because they've been trained in their mind that you are the enemy. Well, that's why I live where I live. Mm-hmm. Because I left for a purposeful reason. And I looked at the demographics before I moved to where I'm at. So I'll leave it at that. Go ahead, man.
So MJ Jude puts this out. Tucker Carlson, London is now 36% white within the last 40 years. Piers Morgan, England is 70% white. Tucker was 99% white and 45. Piers Morgan, we evolved. Tucker, whites are becoming the minority in your country. Piers Morgan, so what? What other race is enthusiastic about becoming extinct? This is hilarious. This is exactly the utter ridiculousness, the lunacy of what these people want to kill themselves.
But my question is, why did it destroy Britain? I don't understand. As the victor nation,
you didn't destroy Britain.
Well, look outside.
Look outside.
We're in the city of London.
Hang on. There's Tower Bridge. It's the Tower of London. Magnificent.
Well,
it
changed London.
Why do you look at this and see a wrecked country? I don't.
Well, I don't see an English country. So we're in the city of London now.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
It's not. Well, people whose ancestors built Stonehenge are not here anymore. So the city of London is 36% white, and that's happened in the last, 40 years.
But England is about 70% white.
England.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it was
London's the capital
it was
city.
99% in 1945.
Okay, so we've evolved.
But you're on the way to
Evolved.
becoming the minority in the country.
That's right.
So no one wants to say that. I think you can get arrested for saying that here.
Evolved.
It's not white supremacy.
I've
This
read
is
it-
the
I've read it-
indigenous population of the country.
Well, it's a statistical fact that I think by 2100, we will be.
This is why when I look at the British,
Fucking idiots.
they're just, I mean, how did these people rule the world, you know, for centuries? I mean, how did they, this is the nonsense. I mean, you know, I guess it's, I mean, I just don't understand what their self-immolation journey is about. What is it that they think that multicultural relativism brings to them? It's not going to bring you jobs. That's for sure. It's not going to bring you language that you speak. It's not going to bring you what? Safety in numbers. What is it going to breed?
Black grandchildren.
Yep.
A minority white country.
2063 as of today.
Well,
but,
I've read a bit later.
but these are dynamic numbers, so they change.
Yeah, but here's my question for you. So what?
Well, let me refer to the beginning of our conversation when you said that the people who live in a country define the character of that country. And then you said, yes, all the things for which we were famous and in which we had pride, like our stoicism, our concern for others, our tidiness, the cleanest country in the world. Now it's pretty filthy. All those things change when you get new people moving there. You said that. I mean, you're the racist, not me. So I'm just using, I'm using the parameters that you set.
I did not say that was down to
No, you didn't say, you didn't.
white people coming to the country.
Well, that's who lived
I don't
here.
believe that.
No, but that's what you said. You said
I said there was creaking pressure on public services.
No,
coming from the increased
but
population.
you also maybe foolishly admitted the truth. You could get arrested for this, so I know the stakes are high. But you said that when the people who live in a country change, so does the culture, which is like the most obvious. It's like when it rains out, it gets wet. That's not a controversial observation, but it's illegal here because it is true. And my only point is not against, I've already said, I like the Bangladeshis better than I like the liberal whites in your country. A lot more. They've never yelled at me. I'm not attacking them. I'm just saying the things that made Britain, England. Is there still an England? I have no idea. Those are going away because there are different people living here. And if you think that those are good things in the same way that the Swedes or the Chinese or the people in Burundi and Chad, they like their culture. It's their ancestors' culture. And now it's gone. And like, why can't we say that's bad?
Well, because you may think it's bad.
Good?
I love living in a very multicultural.
But you're rich. I mean, you're rich. And you go to the white parts of London, and they're exactly the same as they were when I was a child. I've been coming here for 50 years. They're exactly the same. What neighbor was saying is exactly the
Which
same.
do you think is a white part of London?
I'm not going to tell you.
Well, that's a little test for you. Which area of London do you think is white?
The one I'm staying in right now. The one where my relatives live.
Where?
I'm not going to say.
No, you don't want to say because you know that I'll immediately say, "Come on, there's loads of non-white people living there. There's no."
By the way, I'm not against non-whites.
There's no exclusively white area. Of London.
Wow. That was a very shameful conversation.
Unbelievable.
I mean, honestly, that's how people think. I mean, if you take Piers Morgan and you think about how he's reflective upon his country, and Tucker Carlson's just pointing out the obvious, what do you think we're dealing with here? You know? I mean, him saying that, oh, the Bangladeshi people, they're nice. They don't yell at you, white people and stuff. So that's cause for justification that they're basically migrated or snuck their way into your country, and that's okay. It's not okay. You know, it's not okay. This idea that we have this facet that's going on, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. We have all these Somalis living in Minnesota who got in through Obama, who have been ever increasingly coming in on student visas and basically just robbing our system blind. You got cities in Michigan that are jihadi born Muslims all over the place, electing mayors and you got Muslim mosque all over the place and stuff that we need to invest. We need to start pulling the funding. Where are they getting this money to buy up all these Catholic churches and all these different areas? Who is giving them out land? Okay. In some way, we are losing our identity in this country, and it's coming from all levels. Every different avenue that we're seeing, it's coming from all different levels, and it's embarrassing that I just saw that and I discussed that, and we'll have one more discussion. Would USA dropping 717 gold pills Dirt slop. Yep, support the boys. That's exactly what I feel. Thea, what's up? Happy birthday, lady. Thank you for the shades and the shades again and the phone. Great show, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Let me show you a couple other things. And
I want to say that Pierce, this guy's a total cuck.
Totally.
He probably watches his wife. He probably watches his wife get, you know what, by some other dude.
Yeah.
I mean, white people need to wake up and stand up for your own damn genetics.
Yeah. I mean, London is very dangerous. Yes, very dangerous. Why did Tucker say that he stays in the most whitest part of town? And then what he called said, oh, it's not. There's a lot of non-whites that live there in some way. And he goes, no, that's fine too. But he said it's a white community in some way. See, just the very notion of saying it's a white community means safe. That's what it means. It means safe. When you say white community, it's predominantly means the synonym is equivalent to safe. That's what it means. When you say it's non-white, what do you think of? A violent hellhole that you're going to have problems in. That's exactly what it is. They use the term as gentrification in real estate terms in some way. All right. Which is really a mask while they're redeveloping land that is really good land that's been, let's just say, deprived by the people who live on it. We're not going anywhere with the shanties because the land is more valuable than the shithole outhouses that they live on from like 30, 40 years ago. They haven't renovated, all right, because they're not going anywhere. They're rebuilding homes. There are people selling the lands and building up $1 million properties to what? Force the people out. Is that called progress? Yeah, that's definitely called progress. I'm all for progress. And gentrification, yeah, I'm all for it. Clean it all up. Sell your land, cash out, and go somewhere else. You know why? Because you're never going to fix up your property. And eventually, when your property, you're the only one left standing, they're going to force you out. That's what happens in these areas. What do you think Section 8 is? Another garbage idea that needs to be repealed back. That needs to be pulled back. Federal government should pull that back, not allow the states to actuate that in some way. How about low-income rental properties, low-income housing? You think that's fair? And you can only qualify that if you make a certain amount. And then you get subsidies from the government to pay the back end of it off. You think that's fair? When you live next to them in a private rental that you're paying full price that no one's coming for? You think that's fair? Garbage. I got so many different things for you on that one.
Total garbage.
That's what you see. So why do white people say, oh, it's a white neighborhood? They mean it's safe. You know, that's the bottom line. That's what it means. I know it's a horrible thing to say. It's racist, but it may be true, right? No, it's definitely true. All right. Civil war fears grow as Soros-funded sedition campaign escalates. Slay News. Wow. What have we been talking here? We're in a de facto state of civil war. I've been saying this since last year. Civil war fear grows. Wow. I'm glad Slay News caught up to the news today. Experts are now sounding the alarm over growing fears that America is being pushed towards an engineered natural fracture. As Democrat-aligned Soros-funded network escalates a campaign urging U.S. troops to defy the chain command, classic trigger used in color revolutions. Wow. Excellent summation. I'm glad you're not too late to the party. Journalist Tim Pool issued a warning to the American people after a wave of well-funded, professionally designed billboards appeared nationwide. Slay News reported billboards, which have been popped up in major cities across America, are instructing military service members to refuse orders. How about that one? The message is openly targeting President Trump. These billboards should be automatically taken down. The fact that they were allowed to be put up in these city-state fiefdoms is disgrace. Who put them up? The campaign to create factions within the military to defy Donald Trump, foment civil war, or military coup. That's exactly what it is, and it's getting worse. The idea that we just had this shooting is a call to arms. They are sizing this game up rather bigly, and they're letting you know right now, we are demanding people from the military don't follow orders. That's what they're saying here. The fact that this is being allowed is disgraceful. I've never seen a broken fractured America ever in this matter. Now, the way it appears on the surface in these other cities where they're allowed to get away with it is really just what? Is it just a myopic overview of a microcosm or a macrocosm? You have to look at it in the context of how you perceive it, where it's coming from. All right. You probably won't see that in Florida. Probably won't see that in the South. If Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, and DOJ do not go after these people, they're putting the messages. This is the biggest, most impactful escalation towards civil war. I'm not playing them. He just says, holy fuck, look at the website. This is overtly illegal. You saw the billboard. You have questions. You're not alone. Look at this billboard. Did you go airborne, just pull security force, ICE? I don't want to say outright civil war when there's a good chance foreign actors are doing this. Yeah, of course. Of course they are. Of course they are. I'm dying under a book deadline for December 1st, but took a quick look. This website is not what you signed up for, .org. How about that? I'm not too busy. The project's in North Carolina, which is, they're having a lot of problems there right now. Having a lot of problems in a lot of different cities. The footer says without war, which links to IN 27081909. It's a small 501c4, which seems to have been named new security action in the past. Wow. Coordinated operation time with Democrat messaging. This is absolutely disgraced. Data Republican. Excellent find. I think we're getting very, very warm as to whose NGO idea it was to the senators to produce a video about refusing illegal orders. Yep. I mean, why is it? Why are they even have NGOs anymore? Why aren't they all shut down? Are there, some of the NGOs are going to be shut down and the null and void executive order? I hope so. Under the website, they first sent out a memo about refusing illegal orders on 11/11. Manufactured unrest, coordinated NGO messaging, infiltration, military morale networks, narrative warfare painting Trump as an illegitimate. Pressure campaigns encouraging disobedience in the ranks. I've never seen anything so grotesque. This excellent thread exposes well-funded legal division of Riot Inc. We've discussed with POTUS last month. The National Lawyers Guild is the legal muscle for Antifa thugs backed by dark money from Rockefeller, Arabella, Tides, and Soros funding. Shut it down. I mean, why can't we pull their license? Shut it down. I mean, the fact that this is allowed to happen, and we say that we're moving from a de facto state into a civil war. I was right about calling it. I've been right for a long time calling it, saying that we had this in this country. I've been seeing it escalate for a very long time. You could say we had it when the election was stolen in 2021. You could say it just didn't escalate there. Now it's unfolding, unpacking for your very eyes that this is going to happen. Yeah, it is. I don't know how it's going to be remedied. I really don't. I really don't, because let me tell you right now, from what I see on a daily basis, what I read, what I just go through all the time, I think to myself, how is this going to really be quelled? I mean, how is this really going to be quelled? Because if you want to put a stop to this, and you want to exercise the great powers that the president has for the PEDs or many other actions that he could take, like suspending habeas corpus, that would be fantastic. I mean, does he need to do that? I don't know. We'll find out. Marshall, your thoughts as we dip out of here.
Yeah, Aloha Mom mentioned, what if Soros is Jewish? Well, he actually is.
Yeah.
So, he stole gold teeth out anyway. You can look it up and find out.
Yeah, it's on Pam Bondi's desk. That's a good one.
Well, look, man, that's Pam Bondi's not the go. She's not the.
Yeah,
she's not the go-to.
She's not really in charge. I think a lot of people miss that. I think you and I covered that quite a bit. That I think a lot of people really think that Pam Bondi,
she's the actor.
She
kind of
exactly. I think she's just playing a great role. She really is an attorney. She's the AG of the United States, as prima facie we see it. But is she executing and handling all these things that are happening behind the scenes? She's even admitted, and President Trump and the White House admitted, all orders come from the White House. All orders. Meaning she can't take a shit without the White House telling her where to shit. Same thing with the FBI. All these people that basically, they're taking marching orders. All right? They are following, a script. I don't even know what to call it anymore. But they're following protocol. And that protocol comes directly from the White House. They tell them to jump. They say how high. Everything you're seeing is being let out purposely for you to see at this level. So when people say, fire her, fire them, it's not going to change anything. And actually, the idea would make it worse and give the media more fodder to what? Throw at. You don't want to do that. Especially if they're being used as a tool, a prop. So what you see here is not really behind there. Last this American Thinker. This was a good article and stuff. The judge who always likes results he reaches is a bad judge. Antonin Scalia. That was a good one. I'm just going to show you this. Early this month, a federal judge issued a warning order telling Trump he must remove the National Guard from D.C. Also this month, Rhode Island judge ordered Trump to pay SNAP benefits. During the shutdown, even though existing law prevented the administration from doing so, the judge didn't care about the law. And then, of course, there's the infamous Judge Boasberg and his endless rulings blocking Trump from deporting violent immigrants. Politico had noticed the judicial trend to protect illegal aliens. It's reported over 100 judges have ruled against Trump's efforts to deport these people. In a new reign of judges, America is now being controlled by the unelected, often foreign-born judges who have effectively usurped the president's executive order authority. Thus, worldwide phenomenon. In Israel, a radical left judiciary will do anything to stop Bibi Netanyahu. In Brazil, a radical left judiciary ensured that the leftists won the last election and sent the actual winner, Jair Bolsonaro, to prison for 27 years, which is what the Democrats hope would happen to Trump in 2020. And in England, the Labour Party, at the direction of the man who is both British and Guyanese citizen, plans to end the jury system in most cases, a system that has been in place since the Magna Carta of 1215. But how could this happen in America? What about the Constitution and the balance of powers between three branches? And how could this judiciary contend with its final arbiter of all executive branch actions? As it happens in 1787, look to the founders' ideas for the judiciary, ideas that were all incorporated into the Constitution. Interesting. The Supreme Court under the Constitution would be exalted above all other power in the government and subject to no control. The judges in England are under the control of the legislature, for they are bound to determine according to the laws passed under them. But the judges under this Constitution will control the legislature for the Supreme Court, or authorized in the last resort to determine what exempt powers of Congress they are to give the Constitution as an explanation. There are no power above them and set aside their judgment. The framers of this Constitution appear to have followed this of that of the British in rendering judges independent by granting them their offices during good behavior without following the Constitution in England. I think in some way what this is basically suggesting, if you don't impeach the corrupt judges, you don't fix the country. I think President Trump's executive order today puts us on a trajectory that we can remove them without having to impeach them, because we can prove without a shadow of doubt that they were appointed, 249 of them, under the Biden administration, the fake Biden administration, the null and void administration, and one Supreme Court justice. And that's game over. That's game over, people. Marshall, your final thoughts?
I think you're exactly right there, because the impeachment process would take years. I mean, forget that.
Yeah, this is never going to happen. It's never,
no.
And can you count on Congress anyway?
Yeah, and you absolutely. And it's going to nullify a bunch of them, probably all of them. But this is going to take care of. Yeah, it's true. And I think it's going to wipe out so many. Well,
think about the Lloyd Brunson case and how that plays a part into this in some way. Does that play a part into this too? Can you imagine that the 385 plus people from that time period, if they're still in the House representing senators and congressmen, Mike Pence, can they be all pulled back, Kamala Harris and all of them that were complicit in the coup d'etat per se? I mean, yes. I mean, I think they all could be automatically tied into it, or cold back in so way that they can be, somehow levied prosecution against. Absolutely. Totally agree with that. And I think that we're seeing it more and more. We're getting closer to what? Deconstructing the 2020 election. Okay. And President Trump is putting that out there. Everything that Biden did no longer mattered. So what does that say? To me, it says it whitewashed everything he did, and almost in a vacuous state, eliminates his presidency, or if he had one to begin with, Marshall.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a major wipeout. After what happened in the last 24 hours, all the Trump proclamations, for lack of a better term, we are going to see some serious ramping up now, Brett, in my opinion. And I'm sure you believe that too. It's going to hit. We're going to hit the wall hard. It's going to go hard, man.
No, I agree. It totally is. And I think that in some way, we are on a path right now that I think it's glorious. It has to happen. I mean, I don't think anybody should fret. I mean, you should really look at this as that we are at next level now. He's basically called down the thunder, and you got it. You wanted this. You voted for this. You're getting this. This is what we wanted. The majority of people that voted for President Trump over what was it, 60, 70, 80% wanted what? To fix our problem with illegal immigration, criminal illegal immigration, migration in general, any type of integration of outsiders in this country that have been sucking off the tit of this government and bleeding it dry. It has to come to an end or we die as a country. That's it. And if you don't want to toe that line, if you don't believe that, and you want to think that's racist in some way or xenophobic in some way, I can't help you. Then you might as well leave too with them, because that's what's going to happen. I want to thank everybody out there. I will return on Sunday. I'm going to do a show on Sunday for certain. I will see you guys. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of this Thanksgiving Day, say holiday, so to speak. Put up those Christmas lights. Enjoy yourself. Be well. This is a good time. I think we all should look for the future. It's going to get better, Marshall. Good night. Ciao, Bella.
Good night.